Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christy and today we're going to be doing a Q&A video and I actually filmed this yesterday, but then the footage turned out really bad and so I'm refilming it, but that might actually help me because I've been rambling on for like forever, and so hopefully today it's a bit more concise. Also, I just want to say thank you for 4K subscribers. Everything kind of just happened so quickly, and I just really want to say thank you for everyone and to all the new members of this family here. Welcome, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys. But I asked you guys questions on my Instagram, and yeah, I'm just gonna go and get started on answering some of your questions. There's no specific order, but I will just go in the order of like what I have on my screen. And so we're starting off with this one. Oh, interesting. Have you tried laser hair removal before? And if you have, how was it? If not, would you try it? I have never tried laser hair removal. I think personally for me, I assume they're expensive, and I don't know if I can spend so much on that because I'm very low maintenance. So I am those type of girls who just don't shave for the entire year. I think if there was like a chance, it might be like if I go on vacation with like friends or with my boyfriend and I just want to look extra, like, you know, but on the regular I don't really do that. Hair is kind of one of those things where I don't really mind right now. If I was given the chance, I would probably do it. For some reason, like, I want to know what it feels like. But yeah. Next question is, what's an insecurity you have and what's something you love about yourself? Personally, for me, I've worked really hard on overcoming my own insecurities ever since high school. That was one of my priorities, I guess. Like I would rather work on myself than do homework sometimes. But as of right now, I think one of the biggest one that I still haven't gotten over is my nails, and I'm actually scared to show it on screen, but compared to 2 months ago, my nails have grown out so much, and I'm very proud of myself because I've been a nail biter for the past, like, I'd say 15 years, and I'm 22, so probably more than 15 years. I've been biting it ever since I can remember, and right now it's like a very crucial moment for me because whenever I grow it out again, I will just get very stressed again, or my nails start breaking, and then it makes me like bite it again, and it's like a constant cycle. And yeah, I'm just trying to like keep it strong, but I think it's gonna take a while just because I've been biting it for so long. It's going to be soft and weak for a long time, but working on it. And something that I love about myself, I guess I can say a trait that I really like about myself is I always want to challenge myself, but at the same time, I know when to stop and when not to keep on going for the next best thing. I think it's good to hustle, but I think it's also good to know your personal boundaries. And I think I've kind of found that this year, and especially during COVID, when I had to deal a lot with just my own emotions and stuff. And so I like that I'm at a place where I will keep challenging myself, but I'm not necessarily like pushing myself. The next one is favorite singers or bands. Lots of love. Thank you, Sammy. So favorite singers or bands, in terms of like being fans and like liking artists, I actually don't follow anyone too closely. I think personally for me, it's just like I have a lot of things to do, and so I don't always have time for music, which sounds really bad, and I wish I spent more time into it, but right now my priorities are just different. But in terms of like bands, K-pop bands, I've been following Stray Kids and NCT a lot recently. Who is your celebrity crush? Ooh, this one is hard. I don't know, to be honest. I'm just gonna put some faces of like people I like around this entire screen, and then you guys can see if you guys like them too. How has 2020, aka the pandemic, changed you mentally, physically, and emotionally? So I'll start with the easiest one for me, which is physically. Physically, I've been very lazy with my body. I don't know, I can just feel my body like deteriorating, but I don't have that drive to like work out all the time. Just because I came from a place where I had a very, very bad relationship with my own body and with the idea of working out and losing weight. And so I guess I'm still recovering, and so I'm not like, I don't want to force myself into any exercise regimen, and I just kind of want to do it intuitively. I don't really want to be thinking about working out like all the time. I don't want it to like consume my mentality like it used to. So I'm still working on it emotionally and mentally. I think emotionally, my emotions are just like kind of everywhere. Like it's like always up and down, and I'm still figuring it out, trying to be positive, but there are lots of moments, and it's like more common than before now, where I would just get into very like depressive like episodes, I guess. They come and go, but I'm still trying to learn how to better deal with it. But at the same time, I've learned that you just gotta accept it and then try your best with like the energy you have and just keep going, and it'll pass. And then for mentally, so like mentally I'm probably not as strong as before, but also I think COVID has given me the mental space and capacity to just deal with my own emotions and my own struggles right now. I think if it wasn't for COVID, I would have less time to really focus on myself. Okay, next one is, how did you find your way to your major, concentration from your high school thinking throughout college? It was kind of a regret, but I never looked into university as a high school like person, like my high school self. I think coming from parents who didn't necessarily complete their university education, and actually I don't know the details about this, but I do know that like they could have achieved more before immigrating to Vancouver. So I think that coming from that type of family, they never really talked about university to me, except for the fact that like, oh, like UBC, SFU, and all these schools, they're like really big in Canada, so it would be cool if you got in. But in terms of what actually is university, what you do there, what the experience is like, I had nothing. And so I just basically like blindly applied to places, and I just chose random majors. And honestly, as a high school student, if you're in grade 12, you are very young. There is so much more time to figure out what you want to do. I would honestly consider taking like gap year if you haven't figured it out yet. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think nowadays it's a lot more accepted than when I was in high school. And that makes me sound old, but like I think times just changed so much. And then in terms of getting into Asian studies, I'll go over this really quick, but I was actually in psychology. When I first got into university, I wanted to do psychology. I was very interested in children's psychology and also cultural psychology. But then I took a course in cultural psychology. It made me change my entire degree because I realized that I'm actually interested in lots of different topics, but I want to learn about it from the Asian or the like not European and not North American perspective. I think growing up in Canada, the education that we receive is very Eurocentric, and I just wanted something different. And so I chose Asian studies because I could learn about, philosophy, psychology. I can learn about sociology. I also do a lot of film studies and pop culture, contemporary society, and I can do all that, but through the lens of Asia, and that's what I really enjoyed. And so my major is in Asian area studies, and my minor is in Asian Canadian Asian migration studies. What's your favorite thing about Ryan? Ooh, so for you guys who don't know, Ryan is my boyfriend. We've been together for over 5 years. We started dating in grade 12, and my favorite thing about him, I think one of the things is like we're just kind of like best friends. I think ever since I was young, I wanted to be with someone that was like a best friend for me. And so sometimes it's really funny, but I would like, if I have things going on inside of me and just like emotional things, I would like go and talk to best friend Ryan and not like boyfriend Ryan. And I don't know, I think it's just nice to have like someone who like you can grow up with basically, and you're not scared to like show any side of you, because I really believe that like when you're in a relationship, it's not just like one version of you. You go through like so many versions of you, and like you really want to find someone that will like cherish you and love you through all those different versions of you, because we're always growing. Okay, next one is relationship advice. And this one is very broad, but I'm just gonna quickly like go over some basic relationship advice that like people hear from everyone, but they're so true, and I'm gonna tell you why. So number one is communication is key. That one is super important. But the thing I want to say is that it might not be the communication you think of before going into a relationship. I think when you start dating, you have to kind of relearn everything. You have to start from zero and really hash out what that communication is and looks like with your partner. And then I think there was another TikTok that I saw that I really agree with, and it's not necessarily communication is key, but it's comprehension is key. And so it's like the way you teach each other to communicate, and the way you communicate how you want it to be communicated to and with is super important. And another thing I would say is that don't let your expectations of a relationship, or like that idea of a perfect relationship, ruin the relationship that you have in the current moment. I think a lot of times a lot of people are like chasing that perfect idea of their relationship, and you're just comparing it to that idea, but you're not spending the time and energy on working on the one you have right now and fixing the one you have right now. Because I think no matter who you're with, no matter which, like if this is your 5th relationship or it's your 1st relationship, there are going to be struggles, and that's totally normal, but it's up to you guys to work through it together. And like, remember, you're a team. You're not like against each other in a relationship. Like when you have arguments, it's not like you versus them. It's more like you guys together versus the issue. And that's like my quick relationship advice. All right, next one is, how do you handle loneliness during COVID? Okay, I have to like admit I'm not handling it well, but what I've been trying to do is just like distract myself with things to do and kind of fill my time up, so I don't give myself the time to like overthink and like feel lonely per se. Like personally for me, a lot of times it's just because I'm bored, it's just because I'm overthinking, and so sometimes like trying to just limit the chance of feeling lonely. And then also just remember that like you're not alone. I think there's a difference between feeling loneliness and being alone, and just know that there's like so many more of us out there that's like feeling similar. And sometimes you really have to like reach out and try to connect, and you have to put the effort into it. But yeah, there are always people there for you, so don't forget that. The next question is things you've learned during quarantine. I think I touched on this earlier already, but one thing that I really learned during quarantine is just the importance of giving time to yourself. I think for quarantine, okay, the thing I did was I basically split up my last university semester into 2 semesters. So I only had 3 courses left this year, but I ended up taking 2 in one semester and one term, and then 1 in the second term. And some people might think that's like a completely like waste of time, but for me, it kind of allowed me to just work on myself. And I think that is actually very precious time for me, because if it wasn't for COVID and if I was doing a full course load while doing work on the side, I would have no time to just be myself. And especially during COVID, when it's just so emotionally draining and you're like listening to like bad news every day, it's good to give yourself that time. And so take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. Yeah. This next question is also about bands and like songs. This is favorite bands and favorite songs at the moment. So yeah, I will just link my Spotify. I kind of update it pretty often, and so if you're ever interested in like what I'm listening to, it's gonna be all up there. Next question is, have you ever been jealous or obsessed with your in your relationship with Ryan? I definitely have. I am not gonna like sugarcoat it. I think especially in this like social media age, it's very easy to compare your relationship with others. And so that's something that I definitely did. Like, for example, in the beginning of a relationship or within like the first year or two, I was very jealous of all those couples getting to travel together or like going on like getaways, and they've only been dating for like a few months. And I was always just like, oh my God, why can't that be us? But then like I think eventually you realize that like it doesn't really matter. Just really think about the situation and ask yourself, is this like a big deal, or is this something that you can let go of and you can like just leave behind? Because we kind of have to like leave behind small issues if we want to keep going, because issues will always come up. And so you want to save like those emotional, like not arguments, but like you want to save those moments and like that kind of stuff for the really big issues, and if there are like red flags. All right, have you ever thought of moving outside of Vancouver? Yes, I have. I'm currently in that stage where I just want to leave. If this wasn't COVID, my plan was to go teach English in Japan and Korea, and so I really want to live in Asia for a few months to a year or 2 years maybe, and then come back, just because growing up here, so I'm born and raised in Vancouver, and I've been here all throughout elementary, high school, university, and it's just, I feel like my brain is so limited. Like I need some sort of challenge to like make me more open-minded, and I crave that like adventure, I guess. So I really want to move out. In terms of how and like what and like where, I have no idea yet, but that's something that I'm thinking about right now. All right, how do you plan content ideas for YouTube and TikTok? Would love to know your process. And then what's your experience working with small brands or brands as a small YouTuber? I'm very like the spur of the moment creative type, where ideas just come and then I write it down. But one way that I like getting inspiration is just to look at the content creators that like I personally enjoy, and then get ideas from that. And so you want to create content that you personally would want to watch, and I think that's how you can keep it more authentic. And I think authenticity is one of the most important things. Like your content can be great, your planning can be like amazing. In terms of SEO, it can be amazing, but at the end of the day, I think people stay for your personality and they stay for your authenticity. And so I think that's very important. In terms of working with small brands, I didn't start until recently, and honestly, I don't think I'm a good person to ask this because I get so anxious. I think as an introverted and like shy person who hates being taken advantage of, I'm so skeptical of like any chance to work with other people. That's something that I really want to improve for myself. Do your research, and then look into the brands. It's kind of like job application. Keep that in mind and just be safe. Be careful. Any advice for small YouTubers whose growth is really slow? Well, I think while you're still small, just like experiment, work on your craft, and just keep doing it. And one day the right audiences and the right people will come and enjoy your content. All right, and then next question, we're gonna take it back to fun questions, and this one is favorite Korean drama. And I get asked this so many times, and I feel so bad because I honestly can't answer that. I've watched so many. I've like checked recently, and I've been watching Korean dramas for like over 10 years. Maybe I should just make a separate video for this, and I'll like make a blog post or something. Do you have any plans, career after finishing school? So I don't have any plans. That was a really bad accent. I don't have any plans at the moment. I just kind of want to, well, I guess my plan is to figure out what I want to do. Like halfway through university, I realized that university, I don't really want to work in anything that's like directly linked to what I study. I might just take like half year off and just really figure out what I want to do a bunch of like job research, and yeah, just like prepare myself mentally. I think I'm still very like, I have really bad inferior complex, so I'm gonna work on that so that by the time I'm ready to job search, hopefully I'm more confident in myself. Next one is, what's your major and career goals? So it's very similar. Major already mentioned it earlier, but career goals, I'm really interested in trying out like the beauty fashion industry and from like the content creating side of it. And then I'm also really like teaching, and especially international students, and like doing summer international like programs. That's something that I'm also looking into. And then I think it'd be really fun to try out like a small business, but those are just random ideas. I have a bunch of ideas, but I don't execute them, and so that's my flaw. But the major goal is just to find something that I can constantly learn in and that challenges me, but it's also something that I enjoy. I love your YouTube videos. Keep thriving. How do you make homemade iced coffee? So I'll give you a really quick breakdown, but I also want to make a home cafe video soon. Basically, cup, ice, froth milk, and then double shot espresso, or one if I'm feeling like stressed and anxious that day. Next question is, how do you choose your major? So I went over that. And were your parents' family supportive? So my family, they were all really supportive, and that actually gave me a lot more stress because I was putting the stress on myself. I didn't want to like disappoint them, but they were all pretty supportive. I think for them it was like the big thing was just to go to university. What to do if I'm having a quarter life crisis, turning 24 next month. Oh, I want to say happy early birthday, or maybe it's already your birthday. Quarter life crisis. Well, I think in general, like remember that like all of these are like temporary, and a lot of times I think when they turn into like full-blown like crises, and like you're just like in bed, like for me, I'm usually in bed and like bawling my eyes out because I'm so worried. I think a lot of times the things you're worried about and the things that you keep thinking about, like they might have been lurking for like a while already, and so it might have just been like you finally like, kind of like explode and everything just like goes out of hand. But remember that like you can always take control of your life again, and these are just temporary. Everyone goes through these moments, and try to think of it as like an opportunity to learn and maybe redirect yourself, because I think life would be very hard if we didn't like stop to like rethink and stop to question ourselves. I think those who like grow the most are the ones who keep asking themselves like, hey, like, do you like what you're doing, or like what are you doing? And just it's like it gives you a moment to just really reflect, and so use it to your advantage, I guess, and just in the process of it, just like be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that things will pass, things will be okay, everything will be okay in the end. What's your sun, rising, and moon sign? So I'm gonna quickly go check. According to my chart, my sun is in Sagittarius, my moon is in Scorpio, and my rising is in Sagittarius. So if you know what that means, let me know what that means, and I'm interested what all of your signs are as well. And that leads me into my next question, which is your favorite astrological sign. And I think as a Sagittarius, one of the traits is that we kind of like we could get along with like anyone. In terms of like vibes, I think definitely I connect to Sagittarius the most. Next question is, how are you so calm? Am I calm? Am I really? I think I'm not actually calm, but on the surface level, it can look like I'm calm, because I think because I'm more quiet and I'm more like shy. I always have a very neutral reaction to things, just because I want to spend the time to get to know the person first, because like one thing that comes out of one person versus another, they might be wanting like different reactions. So I always just have a very neutral like state, I guess, and I guess that like comes across as being calm. Do you have a healthy lifestyle? If so, any tip? Portuguese fan, oh my god, hi. I don't have a healthy lifestyle if it's going by society's standard of healthiness, like for example like exercising all the time, or like waking up early and like sleeping early. I don't have that, but what I have, I think, is when it comes to like fitness, like eating healthy, or like mental health, I have a very balanced approach to it. Like I don't think bad mental health days are necessarily bad. I think they're needed in order to feel your good mental health days. And same thing for like junk food. I don't think junk food is like bad thing, but I definitely think that you need to learn how to balance eating like whole foods and like junk food. And so that's like my approach. All right, and then next one is, where do you want to live in the future? So in terms of realistic, I just want a city that's like Vancouver. I honestly don't mind coming back to Vancouver after I've gone out and explored like the world and like settling down here and like my family here. But yeah, that's my realistic one. In terms of my fantasy, I would love to like move to like the beach side or like the countryside and like away from the hustle and bustle of the city, and like, you know, have like a farmhouse with like my 5 dogs. What do you do whenever you feel really unmotivated and burnt out? So I actually recently made a video about this, and it's a very short one if you want to check it out, but I think I'll give you like the quick rundown here. I think number one, it's very important to recognize that you are in this like unmotivated and like burnt out stage. For my thing is like, I try my best and just drop everything and rest. I know it sounds like bad, and especially if you have like commitments to things that you can't let go of, but like as much as you can, take the load off of your other like priorities and prioritize yourself first. Tips on how to stay productive, especially during Rona time. For me, productivity means making the most of my time and energy. And so like for me, I just like time blocking, and I make like a schedule of like when to do what. If you're going into the day thinking, oh, I'm just gonna work hard today, and you don't have specific schedules set up and everything is kind of blurred together, it's very hard to stay productive, because like when you're resting, you're going to feel guilty for resting. When you're doing work, you're going to feel like, oh, I just want to watch YouTube. And so having very specific boundaries between life, work, school is very helpful if you want to consistently be productive and not go into like burnout. But yeah, that's all for today's video. I'm sorry, I feel like it got very philosophical, and I always do this, but I always just get very like deep into the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for 4K, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. And so yeah, I'll see you guys later.